Welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up. The line's wrapped around the stadium. Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to.
He look crazy, Bill. Good feet on the old man.
Definitely come back. I love.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. Into a Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live here on this Monday morning, getting set for a holiday week. God bless you.
God bless you.
No problem.
If I had a nickel.
Crew is here. Lloyd is here. The Carpool Queen is here. Noah is here. Social media this morning here on this Monday as what a great week. This is the start of a fantastic week. Jeez. For me, I love this week, man. Thanksgiving week, short week, ton of football, a lot to talk about. And when LSU's relevant, when there's something on the line, this is usually a good part of the year just for sports, right? Going into the SEC title game for LSU, you know you're locked into that game. We'll talk all about what was going on this past weekend, what's going to happen this upcoming weekend. We will talk to Billy Lucci of TexAgs.com coming up here at 8:30. We'll get the latest from Lucci over in College Station, as it has been a rough season for Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies. But you know that they want to play spoiler for LSU. Now, what can they spoil other than momentum? Not much for the Tigers, but for LSU, obviously there are some things that you want to take care of. When you go over to College Station and Texas A&M this week, we'll talk to Billy Lucci about the state of the team that LSU will be taking on. Little programming note for you. We will be off Thursday and Friday this week, so make sure and if you're planning on being here, we will not be here Thursday and Friday. We'll be back with you on Monday morning. Hopefully everybody has a great holiday week, great happy Thanksgiving with family and friends and football and whatever. And however you will be celebrating. Remember,
you love Thanksgiving?
What's that?
Do you love Thanksgiving?
I love Thanksgiving.
It seems like it. I don't think I really knew.
I mean, not the actual day. I just love the week.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You
But
seem just so
as far as
excited.
holidays go, I would say that Thanksgiving
yeah.
it would be a 1 seed for me.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Over like Christmas?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Christmas
Wow.
only matters to me now because of the kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just a totally different feeling about Christmas now. Which is cool in its own right.
Enjoy a Christmas because you don't care if you get a gift.
But you can still enjoy Christmas.
Right, but it's not the same thing. I feel like the reason that people enjoyed Christmas once upon a time was because you woke up and you're like, there's gifts under the tree. Then you become a giver.
True.
And then you're like, okay, you see other people have sustained success on Christmas. And you're like, oh, this makes you feel good.
That's true.
I don't have anybody to give a gift to, really. Like a child, like little Jay, I'm sure it makes you happy still to see him like happy for Christmas.
No doubt.
He's not. Yeah. I'm Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's reinvigorating the Christmas feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now Thanksgiving is just a good time.
But I mean, it's good weather. It's football.
That's
it's
true.
food. It's chilling.
Family.
You know what I mean? It's hanging. It's
Applebee's.
family. You know what I mean?
When you're here, that's Outback. When you're here, you're family.
No, that's not Outback.
You know what I mean? So are you not a Thanksgiving fan?
No, I'm fine. It's fine.
Katie hates her family.
No, I don't hate my family, but like I'm not this year. I won't do the cooking, but I'm usually like in the kitchen the whole time. Like so, you know. But yeah, it's fine.
We're trying to crush those stereotypes, Katie.
What's your go-to?
I know, right?
Right.
The whole meal.
Yeah. No. What are you most confident in?
I don't know. I guess I do a beef tenderloin to kind of have something different besides the turkey, and a mashed potato casserole that's pretty good. And then I'm a pretty good baker, so I make a really good cheesecake usually on Thanksgiving.
Well, look at Betty over there.
Yeah, I can cook. I can clean.
Right. Mason Spillman, does little Jay still believe? He does not. So it'll be the second Christmas that he's foiled us on.
12?
I don't know. Should we have this conversation at 7 a.m.?
We've done this every year.
School's out.
I know.
School's out.
So are they?
Parent your own
listening?
kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not up to me.
Oh,
It's like the cussing
okay.
thing.
Right?
They're going to hear it at
It's
some
a holiday
point.
week.
Okay.
It's a holiday week.
How old is
Okay.
he? 12?
Yeah, it'll be 12 in January.
So 10 is when it happened?
Yeah.
What happened?
Kids at school.
It's always kids. At
The
school.
bus.
Yeah, the bus. The bus. It's not your
The
fault.
bus. I mean, the bus is the best. I mean, it's the best teacher in town.
It really is.
I mean, it really is.
What the first time I heard
I can cheat on I can cheat on homework and get street smarts.
That's true.
did you finish that spelling homework? 'Cause I'd like to get a copy of that.
I'm gonna take yours home and give it back to you in the morning.
Yeah,
Is that
I'll
cool?
see you like right when you get off the bus. Janae.
LSU wins this weekend over a UAB opponent who came in here with a pretty big reputation of running the football. I thought they threw the old okey doke at Matt House early on. I thought House was expecting the run. UAB came out throwing. UAB was able to sustain a drive, get some points, but after that, it was all LSU. And that is my biggest takeaway from this weekend, was that on a weekend that you look around, and this was a slippery weekend for a lot of people, man. We were talking about LSU and Arkansas being a trap game last weekend. This was trap weekend in college football. I mean, everybody could have gotten trapped this weekend, including LSU, from the sense of playing bad, right? Not playing as good as they would like at this point in the year and continue to ride this momentum into postseason. Biggest takeaway from LSU was that in a weekend, in a game, in a week that it would have been easy to slip up, they took care of business, and they did it in pretty resounding fashion. Now, there were some things that you would hope would be able to be cleaned up by this part of the year that's just not, and I would start that with John Emery, 41-10 win for LSU on Saturday night, and some of the things that just kind of stood out was John Emery again with a couple of fumbles, two fumbles lost. And look, we can sit here and excuse some of the weather, the first fumble. Actually, if you watch back, there's a little bit of a breakdown between the quarterback center exchange. And I look, again, I'm not making any excuses. John Emery had 3 steps before he was hit and coughed that ball up on Saturday night. At this point in the year, you can't make those mistakes. And if you look at the amount of fumbles that LSU has on the season, John Emery's got the majority of them. And this is what we've talked about with Emery on why it's been difficult to keep him on the field. It's easy to put him out there, but you kind of do it with a little bit of angst because you're not sure if he's going to let you down in pass protection, if he's not going to hang on to the ball, just certain things that you have to have high-level trust of a guy that you can keep out there the majority of the time. He has just not been able to gain that from the coaching staff. And on Saturday night, I don't know what that's going to do to him over the last couple of weeks of this season. Josh Williams was out with a knee injury on Saturday night, but from all accounts, to the people that we're talking to around the program, if that would have been the SEC title game, even if that would have been Texas A&M on Saturday, Williams would have been a go. He was a guy that they just saw an opportunity to get some, just get some rest for, put him on the shelf and get him healthy for the stretch here. One thing that was pretty interesting at the running back spot, one of the big takeaways, and Noah Cain had a really good game again as he toted it 13 times for nearly 6 yards a carry and 3 touchdowns, all of those near the goal line. But that's really who he is, and it's good to see Cain getting opportunities in that type of setting. And again, riding some momentum here into the postseason. One thing that was pretty interesting at the running back spot was former safety, he signed as a safety, Derek Davis, in the class a couple of years ago. I believe he's been on campus now for 3 years. He was an all-state tailback in Pennsylvania. And, LSU has obviously found, a lot of some of the questions that they had going into the season was around the defensive backfield. They've seemed to figure a lot of those questions out, and Davis is a guy that they've cross-trained now over at running back. Now, you could see that, look, it was late game scenarios. He got 5 carries, nearly, like 6 yards a carry. They had 29, 28 yards on the night. You can tell that he's run the football before, but he obviously doesn't know the offense. I thought it was also interesting in the game that, look, the TV crew was filling a lot of time in the second half. But they mentioned that one.
Oh, see, you'd be the only one to know that because some people were at the game.
I watched it on TV.
There in the rain.
Sucks for you, bro.
No, I loved it.
Because it was warm in front of the fireplace at the house.
I heard the fire crackle.
I was actually sleeping through a lot of the game, kind of in and out. Had to go back and watch it on replay. But one of the things that I thought was interesting that the television crew picked up in production meetings and meeting with the staff earlier this week, specifically Brian Kelly said if we played Harold Perkins at running back from the start of the season, he'd be the best running back on this team right now. And
I believe him.
I mean, we've talked a little bit about that in production meetings and talked a little bit about it on the show, but to hear the head coach say it is pretty interesting to hear out loud, because Perkins was one of the stories again the other night that once he got going, and you can tell that Matt House, I love Matt House's style, man. I love Matt House. I don't know how long House is going to be in Baton Rouge, on whether or not he's a NFL coordinator or maybe even a head coach at the collegiate level somewhere, because he is just he's as good of an assistant that LSU's had on campus since Aranda and that crew. I mean, Joe Brady. I mean, he is as solid of a coach with his unit on that side of the ball that you can find. I mean, it's almost like he comes out like a fighter and just kind of allows you to punch him first so he can just kind of see what you got, right? I mean, like when he comes out for the game, you can tell he's kind of like in just this base kind of vanilla look defense, and then he starts to kind of ratchet up what he wants to do and how he's going to play you. And Perkins, I thought the other night was a pretty good indicator of that. Was once he got going, man, again you felt his impact on the game and defensively. Like I said, I thought House was a little bit on his heels early on because he expected that big UAB running attack to be out there running at him when they decided to throw it. And once they got their feet underneath them, LSU was off and rolling, and they rolled 41-10. Like I said, biggest takeaway from the weekend, other than some individual performances, is that they just took care of business. They did it in a fashion that was very impressive. They did it that crushed the spread going into the game. Again, here we are, the Monday after LSU takes care of business, and Vegas is still yet to pinpoint who LSU is going into the final playing date of the year, right? I mean, think about the last 3 spreads that LSU has played the last 3 Saturdays. Bama, they were 12.5-point dogs. Arkansas, they were 3.5-point favorites. And on Saturday, they were 14.5-point favorites. They've only gotten it once. They've only gotten it right once out of the last 3 weekends. By this time, Vegas usually has the identity figured out of who you are. They still don't even know who LSU is. And when you look around Saturday, I mean, I told Kelly's mom, I'm like, we might have an issue. Like we might have a big problem because Georgia looks beatable. They're not this team that is just like impossible to go beat. And if LSU can take care of business, and I don't mean to look ahead. We'll talk about the A&M stuff coming up here. And look, A&M, for as bad as they are and as bad as it's been this season, they're going to be ready to play on Saturday, right? I mean, can't we all agree that they're going to love to play spoiler of momentum for LSU going into Atlanta? But just peeking ahead after watching Georgia play this weekend at Kentucky, 16-6 winners over Kentucky in Lexington, and Levis with an early interception. They just they didn't get going offensively till the second half. I'm not excusing Kentucky, but all I'm saying is that Georgia looks beatable in the sense of I believe that LSU's defense has something for Georgia's offense, right? Like if Kentucky and the Wildcats defense what was confusing Stetson Bennett and putting them into some situations where they weren't able to make plays, I'm pretty confident that Harold Perkins, B.J. Ojulari, and crew are going to be tough for Georgia to move the ball and score against. And, you know, this LSU offense is playing with some confidence and has some weapons that look, by no means am I saying Georgia hadn't seen this, Georgia's not ready. Georgia's legit. They are defensively, they are superb, they're elite. They're as physical and as tough to go up against that the sport can offer. But in a one-game scenario with Daniels, Kelly, Brian Kelly getting this team prepared to play and putting together an offensive game plan, it's not this feeling of they're just going to Atlanta to, check a box.
Rouse the bar.
Right? I mean, you're going to Atlanta with a real chance to win the game. And if you do, now after college football is kind of shaken out here, we talked about this when the college football playoff rankings first came out, it's going to play itself out. It's going to shake itself out. I mean, we can debate and go back and forth, and Reese Davis can show his true color. Like, hey Reese, how's that platform feel now? How's the platform feel for all of you out there that was comparing Tennessee to the 2019 LSU national champs? Where's that storyline at?
They're still in.
Like, I mean, the fact that people were like killing that storyline after Saturday, I'm like, wait, didn't that storyline fall when they got beat the first time? I mean, like, just throwing that LSU 2019 comparison around for teams coming up. Let's not be so liberal moving forward, right? I mean, just because you got one quarterback and one wide receiver doesn't mean you're the 2019 LSU national champs. And for Tennessee on Saturday, they just went Tennessee. Man, I feel bad for Hendon Hooker. Mm-hmm. I feel terrible for Hendon Hooker. I thought Hooker is, man, he's a pro. He's a high round draft pick pro. He's a legitimate, could be potential top 15, top 20 first round selection pro. And to see his knee buckle on him on Saturday night at South Carolina late in that game, and now whatever is going to be the calendar for him, I don't know what that does to his decision. It sure as hell makes his draft stock plummet. You don't know whether or not he'll be coming back now. I just don't know. And look, man, for as much as the SEC is it's a gauntlet of hate. You hate to see that for anyone, any team, any program to lose their star player that the whole thing's built around.
The team said yesterday that he's still going to be going to the NFL.
Okay. That's good. That's good. But he lost a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was tracking to be a first-round pick. I know Jamison Williams was picked in the first round out of Alabama last year, and he tore his knee up in the national championship game. He should be pretty close to coming back for Detroit, I would imagine. He should be just about ready to come back for Detroit, who will play Buffalo on Thanksgiving Day.
Tigers are rolling, man.
But they took
love you.
They took Williams in the first round after he had blown his knee up late in the college football season. Now it's a different position, obviously, right? You're drafting the quarterback position with clear intent of playing early if you spend that draft pick early on. If you're first, even second round quarterback draft pick, there's some anticipation that you got to come in and play. Now with Hooker, where he is physically, and just his knee being, shredded after Saturday night, you just kind of wait and see on what the fallout will be from just the draft. I believe he'll get drafted. I still think that there's somebody out there. The science behind knee injuries has changed so much. But, from the timeline standpoint, this is about as bad as it can get. I mean, think Matt Corral Sugar Bowl injury for Ole Miss last year. It's and Matt Corral and Hendon Hooker are two completely different prospects. Corral is undersized, athletic, a guy that's got a lot of heart. Hendon Hooker is 6'4" with an absolute cannon attached to his right shoulder and has all of the physical attributes that you're looking for to play quarterback at the NFL. He was on track to be I think a first round pick.
He won't play in the Senior Bowl then, right?
No, he'll be out. He'll be out for a year.
Will they look then at his pre-injury
status
and kind of draft him based on that? Is that how they do it when something like this happens so close?
Yeah, but this is, they try to make the evaluation period of NFL draftees like a science. Mm-hmm. I mean, they break it down so microscopic that it's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of science within this time period that you just don't know.
Right.
There's just that you have to take you have to take the chance or you don't. Mm-hmm. Right? And Hooker is going to go into that ground where, look, man, his film pre-injury is awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, he was tracking, I believe, to be in the discussion of maybe the first quarterback selected in the draft.
Yeah.
No, Bryce Young's going to go first.
Dude, you can maybe, but you get him into an NFL combine and they stand next to one another and they do all of this film and they do all these workouts. It's now feels like it's Bryce Young undoubtedly is going number one, but it would not be outside of the realm of possibility for me to believe that Hendon Hooker, after this season, could get into some workout scenarios and people be like, wow.
Yeah, he's going to be a top.
This dude's
first round pick.
Look at all of it. Look at all this. Look at all the
makeup
attributes he's got.
How does this impact the Heisman race for him?
Not only that, but I think a lot of people in the chat are saying Hendon Hooker now could maybe slide to the Saints, which would be an interesting pick considering what is going on in New Orleans. They get a win yesterday, obviously. I don't think we want to do a Saints show right now, but it's kind of the Joe Burrow scenario in which you thought you would be able to get him after 2018, and then 2019 happens, and it is, oh, God, he's going to go 1 overall. Mm-hmm. Hendon Hooker with the knee injury, and it happens, and now the Saints might have the possibility of getting a quarterback in the NFL draft because they don't have their first-round pick, but backslide because of the injury or trade in, and now you might have a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens from a standpoint now of his draft stock. But you hated to see it just for Hooker.
Yeah.
And really. in the same vein, right? Isn't that what you were terrified of happening to Jaden Daniels? He played a lot on Saturday night where it was almost like, all right, get him out the game. Mm-hmm. All right, get him out the game. He keeps running the ball. I mean, he was playing to win, obviously, but the game was sewn up, and he was still out there. Then they took him out, but he's gonna play the way he plays, and I felt like it got to a point on Saturday where it's like, please don't let this happen to LSU because you have so much in front of you.
Yeah, no, and look, that when he lost his shoe.
Yeah, it kept going.
I mean, people were like,
that scared me,
freaking out. I mean, people were gasping for just what's going on. How, is he hurt? But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the same. I mean, there's so much responsibility on Jaden Daniels. I mean, he's so responsible for a lot of LSU's offense. I mean, it was the same way on Saturday for when you lose Hendon Hooker for Tennessee. You just lose so much of what you've installed into that offense. On the other side of the field, my guy Rattler, bro, Spencer Rattler looked like QB1. I mean, that looks like who Oklahoma wanted. Guy was dropping dimes.
I hate that guy
dude.
So much.
5 possessions, 5 touchdowns to start the game.
He counted them out for you, too.
Oh, dude, everybody's doing the Justin Jefferson now.
I said the same thing.
I mean, it's a good celebration, though.
Well, where was Spencer Rattler when that happened?
Oklahoma
sidelines watching.
Was he there that day?
Yeah.
He was?
A freshman. 2019.
Wow.
So he thought he could come make that his own. Coach seen it before. But he balled out 63 points. Is
No,
that
they
right?
balled, man. They balled. Beamer ball is for real. Up and like they wanted him out last weekend from South Carolina, or where they lost to Florida. And now, I mean, they're naming streets after him in Columbus
Well,
after the win over Tennessee. I mean, they beat Tennessee at their own game. I mean, like they won 60 on them.
Not only that, South Carolina is raucous.
Oh, yeah.
That place is on 10.
What's with their
I don't-
sandstorm? With them
Well,
and
they've been
sandstorm.
doing that. They've
I
been
know,
doing
but
like the Space Odyssey, the sandstorm.
Yeah.
They put the cock in the cage.
Yeah,
He's-
I mean
he's locked up.
it's unreal.
it's like
Chastity
a club
belt.
in there.
The student section's called the cockpit. Big sign.
They've,
I mean,
wanna
they've
go.
embraced it.
Have y'all ever been to a game there?
I've been to
No.
a basketball game there.
I've never been to a football game there, and I'm dying to go now.
It's a pretty cool campus.
yeah.
It's 5 points, coach.
Yeah, I mean it's
Steven Garcia got swept up.
it's
He's got
pretty,
like 4 DUIs.
it's pretty cool over there, man. I mean, kind of sneaky off the map.
Clearly,
You know what I mean?
he
Like,
kept getting caught. He's like,
Right.
I thought I was going to slide through here. I'm the quarterback for South Carolina.
remember our first hour every Monday during the football season is brought to you by Bayou Carlin Oyster Company. Our friends over at Bayou Carlin Oyster Company bring you the first hour every Monday. We call it What the Shuck. We react to college football storylines. We will talk to Billy Lucci. Don't know if you saw this picture. Lloyd, do you have this picture you can pull up from the second half of
Yes.
Texas
Grab it.
A&M
Grab it.
and UMass on Saturday? Now, look, it's easy to point and laugh at the Aggies right now. And we have been leading the charge, and I'm sure Lucci will let us hear about it when he comes on here at 8:30 this morning.
One second.
But this is painful. And look, I know that there was probably not a lot of people in Tiger Stadium on Saturday night in the second half too, because of just the weather, the opponent.
Oh, shit.
But there were more than A&M had.
But this is how you get fired. Like, this is something that the administration can look at and say, now look,
Yes.
Get
still-
that one out. That one just came up as soon as I typed something in.
I mean, what in the actual shuck
It's that.
Exactly.
is happening at Texas A&M? Like, how is it this bad?
And there's no one around these people either. Like, no one in the stands at all.
This is how you get fired, though, in college football. I don't know. Look, man, he's still got $90 million, $86.5 million you got to pay him if you make this move. I really do. I think Jimbo should give a portion of his salary back this season. I mean, I really do.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
I'm sure
it's.
they think that too.
I mean, I'm sure they do, but I'm talking like from Jimbo's sake, like his point of view. Like, Coach, look around.
Wow,
Yeah.
This is not great.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like somebody on the headset had to be like, "Holy shit!"
I know.
Like, there's nobody here.
I know.
I mean, this is a high school football game. This is a look at that. Look at that.
Bring the noise.
I
That
can't
looks
even
like
believe
Memorial
that.
Stadium.
Yeah, just
I mean,
looks
that
a
looks like
scrimmage.
Bel Air and Terra playing.
That's nobody.
Or someone watching practice.
I mean,
was like
that
an open
is. I
practice.
mean, seriously, I'm
That's
bad.
as empty as
I'm
it
bad.
can be.
I'm bad at this game. How many people do you think that is? I mean, that place holds 100,000 people. That looks like that is. Is that 10,000
maybe.
people?
I would think maybe 10,000.
Is that 10,000? I mean, maybe.
maybe?
Yeah, I think 10's like high.
Yeah,
I
10
think
might be
10
high.
would be
I mean, if you
aggressive.
look up top, there's people sitting under the lights,
Why
which
don't
is
they
kind of
move
like.
down?
Are there?
Well, they're
up
not
there?
because I think they're trying to stay out of the rain up there.
Yeah.
And they're
Couldn't
being
be me.
blocked. That overhang right there, that's being. I guess that's the press box that it's being shot out of.
Yeah, you can see everybody kind of shoved
But there's
up
an
under those
overhang. See
overhangs.
up top, there's like 3 or 4 rows of people up there. But
Are those people?
Still,
Yeah, these are the people.
Just at the very top, those are people?
I guess. I mean, unless it's.
Why would they want to be
pigeon.
up
What else
there?
would it be?
I don't know what else it could be.
I don't know, but why are they up there like
Because
that?
there's an
they're under the-
overhang.
There is at the very
Yeah.
top? That's what that is? Okay.
Your rich is showing.
What? Do you mean I can't see it? That's sad. That just makes me sad.
Give them some money.
I mean, that is.
They're fine.
They're fine. A&M's fine.
I mean, like, there has to be somebody. There has to be a player.
Yeah.
There has to be somebody there that doesn't understand the awareness of it around
Nolan.
Jimbo. That's like, ain't nobody here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody here. What I mean, like, what are we even doing? And I know that the conditions were terrible. The football was even worse. But that's the state of the program. Like, if you're Ross Bjork, if you're the athletics director, if you're the president of Texas A&M, you had to be sitting in your box Saturday being like, oh, my God, this could be done. You know what I mean? Like, we just added on to the stadium.
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to do if we fire this guy? We're going to pay him $90 million and nobody's here. I mean, that was
it's embarrassing.
that's
embarrassing.
beyond
It's weird.
embarrassing, man. That is
weird to
beyond.
see.
I mean, like the tweets that were coming out. The 12th man's in the transfer portal.
Did you see him shoot? Did you see?
I mean, like, it's just like.
Oh, they shot the cannon.
Did you
at
see him shoot
beginning
the
of
cannon at the players who were praying?
Like,
Yeah, you sent me that. That was awesome.
I mean, that was it was funny after the fact, but like,
What's
who
going
thought
on?
that
Why'd
could
they
have been
do
a
that?
good idea?
Yeah.
Like, who was like, fire it now?
now.
I know.
You know
Why'd
what I
they
mean?
do
Like,
that?
bro,
Right
what are you
at them.
doing? There's two people. Like, I mean,
It's not enough people to fire it. Like, it makes you look bad.
That's why I kept thinking it was fake. Like, the picture was fake. The cannon thing, I was like, this is not really happening there.
That
like,
plays. And it makes all the. It does make you a little bit nervous if you're an LSU fan, just because please don't do that then. You know, don't lose to A&M at A&M next
Right.
week whenever you have so much stuff in front of you, and A&M is
Don't say
the
it.
laughing stock
I mean, look,
of college
Don't say it.
football.
I don't want to put the hex, and I don't want to put.
But you have to take it seriously.
But it's like,
But it's hard to.
it's this bad. Like, it's this bad. The score, UMass, like UMass.
Is bad.
I'm telling you, Catholic High would give UMass a game. I'm not even like Zachary would take UMass 4 quarters.
What do you think about that?
No doubt about it.
What was the final score of that game?
I think it was
13.
20.
It was
That was
23.
it?
23. I
It was
think
20
A&M scored again.
Yeah, it was like 20-3.
20-3.
I mean, it's.
I mean, I feel bad for him.
And then they had like the list of people that were sitting out of that game only leads you to believe what the transfer.
There's two
portal
names
is
on there
going to
I noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is everybody.
Yeah. Oh, was it wasn't old Blinker? Old Walter? He's in the stands. He's only got the game.
Andrew Messina, Jordy, call up Tack and ask him if Denver is leaving. I already know the answer to that, and we need to keep Tack just kind of way out of the way behind. Let's just let things happen how they need to happen over the next couple of weeks. Let's let the Culotta Show is going to stay out of it. All right, we're just going to stay out of it. I can just tell you, good stuff's going to happen.
Air.
Good stuff's going to happen. George Mott, 30,000 fans. No way.
No, that was
No
not
way.
30,000.
No way. There's no way.
Well,
that was
maybe
30,000
it's because they were all shoved up under those
No way,
overhangs,
Katie.
so maybe we
I
can't
don't
see
care.
them all.
That was 3 rows. That was probably
Well, somebody's got to have a
500
count.
people, maybe.
So I'm gonna Google it. Somebody's got to have a count.
They definitely have like a total stadium.
yeah, but they're going to give
count.
you
That's paid
They're
attendance.
going to give
that
you
did
the
not
paid
show up.
attendance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know how.
Right.
Yeah, I worked at Northwestern State. I know how the rub works.
Yeah, but that's not just Northwestern State.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
everybody.
they do it at LSU. They do it at Texas A&M.
Well, they announced the attendance of 90,000
Oh,
Where?
at the game. Like Texas A&M announced the attendance is 90,000, but
Oh yeah, I'm
so they're
seeing
just
that.
lying to everyone.
I'm reading
Right.
that too.
Like,
It
I know
says
there's not
90,000.
90,000.
Well, I mean,
here.
the same person that tweeted out that picture, and I want to make sure and give her credit. She covers Texas A&M for the Houston Chronicle.
Christy Riken.
Yes, Christy Riken. That's exactly right.
Well, maybe they
She
were 90,000
said-
at the beginning.
She tweeted when they announced the actual, or they announced the attendance, that the whole press box like started laughing.
It says they just announced an attendance of 90,177 in the press box, and there was more than a bit of laughter.
I mean, like,
Well, do you think they were there in the beginning?
no,
There's
Not 90.
Not 90,000.
no way.
Maybe 50.
I mean, you can't make 90 dwindle down to that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it would take 90 amount of time to get out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it had to start with probably like 40. We're going to talk to Lucci about it. There's no better representative to talk about the state of Texas A&M football than Billy Lucci. I mean, he is as tied into as anybody over there. And we will get just the state of the program. Just what the hell is going on, man? We have also confirmed that Greg Brooks and Jaquelin Roy will be in studio with us tomorrow. 8 a.m., compliments of the G Squad. Good to talk to the crew as they will be here tomorrow. All right, Lloyd, let's get into a little bit of this Brian Kelly sound from Saturday. This is a longer bite. This is the first one. But this was Kelly just kind of talking about the accomplishments of this LSU team now closing out the home schedule.
I told our team that we have a meeting before we come out to the stadium. It's called our Mental Edge. And I told them I want to be able to come out in front of the media and talk about the growth of this football team, and in particular, the mental toughness that they have acquired over the year. And let me just take a minute to articulate this the right way. Mental toughness to me and our team is accountability. It's the ability to count on their teammates and themselves to do it the right way, to do their job the right way when it's needed, and the right way. And that's taken time, and they did that today. Is my point. When you look across college football today, there are many teams struggle to put the best version of themselves out there. This team did that against a team that, if you listen to people talk, you're supposed to beat them, and it requires an accountability that you're intentional in what you do, and you do your job when you're supposed to do your job, and you do it the right way, the way it's been taught. And I'm so proud of our mental toughness and their ability to do it the right way late in November against the team they're supposed to beat. And the wins have been nice. The individual achievements have been really neat, the SEC West Championship, but I'm most proud of the mental toughness that this group has shown. So I wanted to get that out. I apologize if that was long, but that's what this team has gotten. We got everybody? Everybody's good? All right.
Coach,
Let me just say that
you can't ignore what happened.
What?
I mean, you can't ignore that.
this
What is that?
undefeated. Let's not step into it. Let's not step into it, boys.
There's a shot.
But it is it's undefeated. And one thing I will say about that answer is that is the ultimate answer of LSU taking the next step, right? I mean, that is when he defines what mental strength is for LSU, or just growing up,
Playing through pain.
just kind of defining what and who they are, is ultimately, I think, what Brian Kelly was brought in for. And to see it all taking shape here in year one, like we've said on this show a couple of times, I think Brian Kelly was brought in to win these games. These are the ones that he was brought in to win. LSU is always going to throw their heaviest punch against the Bamas, the Georgias. They're 9 times out of 10, you don't have to worry about the LSU brand showing up. It doesn't matter if you roll out Ed Ogeron, Les Miles, Charlie McClendon, or Brian Kelly. It don't matter. LSU is going to be ready to play in those games. It's always been the games that have snake bit LSU have been the UABs, the Mississippi States, the Arkansas, the week after you emotionally ride this high against Alabama. Those have been the ones in the weeks that have always, really haunted the LSU football program. And now to see the way that they have reacted in those spots, really since the Florida State game, right? I mean, go back with me. What's the biggest letdown of year one for Brian Kelly? To me, it's not the Tennessee game. I mean, that sucked. But ultimately, I think you got one clunker every year, right? Where you're just like, we had no idea what the hell was going on that day. It couldn't catch a kick. You couldn't even get your best players in the field. For whatever reason, Harold Perkins only played 9 plays that day. I mean, there was just crazy stuff was happening. It's the Florida State game for me, right? I mean, it's the game that you ultimately look at this team and you're like, man, they did some stuff that just very much is outside of their personality. Now, there's a lot to, forgive on that because it was the first game. It was the first time the coach had been with the team. It was a new starting quarterback. It was a lot of excuses kind of built in on why there was ultimately, the loss in week 1. But, I mean, outside of that, it has been a progression of, just a small percentage of getting better every day that has gotten LSU to this point, in which why I believe, like we said a couple of minutes ago, this Georgia game, is by no means, I remember you might have been there in 2019 with LSU going to the league championship in Atlanta. I was there. It felt like a formality, right? I mean, it kind of just felt like and here's the sad part about it was that Georgia team was good. I mean, that was like Jordan Davis and all those guys that were young. They were like sophomores on that team, right? Trayvon Walker was a youngster on that team. I mean, they had players on the field, but it just kind of felt like LSU shows up, gets off the bus, they gonna win. Right? I mean, and they were the clear-cut number 1 team in the country. I know the polls, but people around the game felt like that LSU team's a little different than everybody else. That Georgia team this Georgia team kind of feels a little bit different than everybody else in the league and in the game this year. But by no means do they feel unbeatable. By no means do I think that LSU's defense, Matt House, Perkins, Ojulari, and the crew are not going to have something dialed up for Stetson Bennett and that offense that at times look very pedestrian. Now, Georgia's defense versus Denbrock, Daniels, and the crew, a little worried. I mean, a little anxious on how LSU is going to handle it. Concerned to a point where I believe they can't move the ball or score? Hell no. Hell no. I mean, they got cover guys, but they don't have 4 cover guys that can line up and guard Brian Thomas, can guard Malik Neighbors, a healthy Kayshawn. Kayshawn with just a little flu-like symptom that was haunting him all throughout the day on Saturday. Just take a break, buddy.
But if you get the Jaden that we saw yesterday, I understand who they played. I get it. But they weren't a terrible team. But if I'm looking at this correctly, 297 yards throwing, ran for 129. That is as good as you can play. It's Jaden Daniels' best game as an LSU Tiger, right? And it looked good. Like, it wasn't just, he played well. Mm-hmm. It looked like everything that you wanted to see coming off of what happened against Arkansas last week, where it was, oh, God, we're kind of reverting back to the mean, where it's, he's not throwing people open. He don't want to pull the trigger. Everything you saw Saturday was him anticipatory throws, running when he wanted to, probably stayed in a little too long, but he is your best player on offense right now. Mm-hmm. The offense is going through Jaden Daniels.
Absolutely.
John Emery can't hold on to the football, and I love the man to death, but you saw how much Josh Williams means to the team as well. Like, Malik Neighbors is great. Kayshawn didn't play, but you can still see the offense and how you can score 40 points when Jaden Daniels plays that way.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think so too, man. I really do. I think that LSU is a problem.
If you're Georgia, you're nervous.
LSU's an issue. I don't think Georgia is though.
They should be.
I've got
points.
What's that?
Kentucky unranked held them to only 16 points.
Yeah, they're not good offensively.
Yeah.
Like
That's what I'm saying.
they can be good, right? Like there's some Saturdays where you're like, damn, they make good plays. It's a pretty good athlete. Mm-hmm. He can make some throws. He can hurt you with his legs if you get outside. But outside of that, you kind of look around
Perkins track him
and
down.
you're like, exactly. I mean, you're kind of like.
Is it like a lot of luck this season?
I don't know.
No,
I don't think that you can't go undefeated in the SEC on luck.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like they're
but
good.
Barely made
they're
it by,
solid.
I feel
but the
like.
identity of their team
Yeah.
is defense and special teams.
Because when they want to crank it up to 11, Georgia is a problem. Like, you can see why they're the number one team in the country. Like, whenever they want to be all the way invested, it's like that's why there's probably some comparisons to. I mean, obviously Tennessee did it with the 2019 LSU team that fell by the wayside, but it's that type of feel where, like, if you're a Georgia fan or if you're in Georgia, we feel like we're the best team in the country. Like, every time you line
and
it
they
up,
are.
Yeah, they are.
They are. They absolutely
But
are.
if you're an LSU fan, you feel like you got a shot.
But you're the best team in the country that feels, at least from this vantage point, like you're beatable. I thought last year's Georgia team felt more unbeatable than this one
I
did.
too.
Now, Alabama went to the league championship and beat them in Atlanta, but had another shot at them, and Georgia obviously got them at the end. But, I mean, think about all those first-round picks they lost off that defense. I would even say losing George Pickens last year was a bigger loss than anything that they have a deficit on this year offensively. They don't have that guy. Now, I know Pickens is a stud, but I'm telling you, they just don't have that big game-breaking wide receiver. I mean, that short little white dude they throw the ball to all the time.
McConkey.
What is he going to do?
Jordan Culotta?
I mean, he looks like a middle school player. Like his uniform looks very small. You know what I mean? Like, especially when he stands next to those tight ends.
Right.
Mom, where's my socks?
You know what I mean? Like, obviously, Bowers and Washington are the mismatches. I mean, those are the guys that you have to account for. And I don't know if LSU has anybody that can guard them one-on-one. But I do know this, is that LSU can get to Stetson Bennett. Yep. And if you can get to him before he has his mind make up where he's going to go with the ball, then it don't matter if, Harold Perkins is guarding Washington down the – it doesn't matter. So, I mean I know House is going to be ready for them.
Because the biggest thing is you have to stop the run. Like, their best offensive game was Oregon in game 1, and Georgia came out and ran the ball for like 20 yards on the first 3 plays. So then Oregon's just all bought in on the run. And that's whenever they start to hit McConkey on the little crosser or Bowers down the side. Like, you have to stop the run. But at the same time, you saw what Georgia is whenever they need to step up. Like against Tennessee, even though the score wasn't a huge deficit, I mean, they completely dominated that game.
They're as good as they want to be.
Right. So
26-22.
They played down, but at the same
crazy.
time, when they have to turn it on.
They remind me very much of early LSU Les Miles teams that could just choke you out because they were bigger, stronger, faster than you. And that was his great grace. That's why he knew he could act like that, because they were going to win despite him. Right? Like, it was like, I could just put it in my defense's hand. I don't ever have to throw the ball, because if I do, only, like he would say, what do you say? I can throw it, but 2 things that can happen are bad.
Right.
It's like, you dumb fuck, man. You dumbass. But it just.
It could bleed or be a
but then he
turnover.
would win. Then he'd win 24-20. And it's like, told you. It's just like, ugh.
Kiss you on the mouth.
Georgia feels a lot like that this year, where they can kind of toy with you, and they don't have to be their best that day to get you. Like, they can just kind of smother you, right? And for whatever reason, as LSU comes down here, and I don't want to make this week about Georgia, because we will get to Georgia next week, and I think LSU definitely has they got a mountain to climb this week with Texas A&M, because I think A&M's going to they're just going to be motivated. They're going to be locked in. They're going to be focused. They're going to want to beat LSU. So anytime you get off the bus against a team like that, you better be dialed in. And I think LSU will be. I think Brian Kelly will have his team ready to play. But if you just look down the line, and we can do that here. They're not doing that over at the football ops building. But here on a podcast and, talking head type format, you can say, let's look ahead. And from LSU's standpoint, the matchup does not feel as
lopsided.
Just right. I mean, as dire as it once did at a certain point of the season. I mean, tee this thing up and kick it off. See what happens. Right? Dylan, they have Reek Gilbert as well. They do. I mean, they do. But he is not eligible. He's not playing. He has not played all season long for them. They don't need him as much as that's crazy to say. They need big playmaking guys on offense. I guess they could move him to wide receiver if they used him. But as far as tight ends go, they've got 2 of the best in football, with obviously Brock Bowers, who is a game changer, and then what's the big boy's name? Zero Washington.
Not Denzel Washington. I think it's
best actor ever.
His last name is
Who said Denzel Washington?
I think it's me. Is it? I'm not gonna keep going.
We'll find it.
But remember, every first hour on Monday, brought to you by Bayou Carlin Oyster Company, Darnell, Washington. Grilled oyster kits, shucked and buttered oyster kits delivered to your front door. They do the shucking, you do the grilling. You want some sides this week? You want some cool selections for Thanksgiving? some South Louisiana selections. Let our friends over at Bayou Carlin Oyster Company take care of it for you. BayouCarlinOysterCo.com. BayouCarlinOysterCo.com. Orders are shipped on Mondays and Wednesdays only. So remember, get in, especially if you want it this week. Get on today at BayouCarlinOysterCompany.com to pick up your latest. If you use the promo code Jordy, you will save 20% on online orders over at Bayou Carlin Oyster Co. At Bayou Carlin Oyster Company down in Acadiana. Also brought to you by Mr. Fun's Travel. Speaking of the SEC title game, Mr. Fun's Travel has a trip put together with tickets and hotels. You got to get there from the travel standpoint. But he has a great trip planned and already waiting for you over at MrFunsTravel.com. That is MrFunsTravel.com. Jason Ramazan and the crew over there have done this for a long time. They've got great experience in this space. Anytime you travel with Mr. Fun, you know it's going to be first class. So check out, if you're looking to make a trip to the SEC title game, still a couple of rooms and tickets available from our friends over at Mr. Fun's Travel. Check them out online, MrFunsTravel.com. We'll be back with hour 2 here. We're going to talk to Jake Crain during the 8 o'clock hour. We're also going to talk to Billy Lucci from Texags and get the latest from College Station as Texas A&M prepares to host LSU coming up this Saturday. Don't forget tomorrow here. It's going to be a quick week as we'll be here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We will not be here on Thursday and Friday. I've talked to Josh from Iverstein's. He'll be here on Wednesday cooking up a little Thanksgiving meal for us and the crew. And then tomorrow, a couple of the defensive monsters for the Tigers are going to be through here as Jaquelin Roy, who's having a standout junior season, really playing well right now, is going to be here, along with Greg Brooks, the safety who transferred in from Arkansas, will be in studio with us tomorrow talking about the latest going into the final regular season game week of this 22 season. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
I was excited to come to a top level program. I've been at a lot of great places, been very fortunate in my career, but to really say that you have an opportunity every year, once we get it rolling, to win a national championship, there's not very many places that you can say that. So for him to offer me the opportunity to come with him to LSU was nothing but humility and gratitude. Some Sunday players in that room. But again, it's got to be the total package, the total process of buy-in, of understanding what we're trying to get done, of figuring out how we want it to get done, but also allowing those guys to be able to play with instincts. For example, I think Jay Ward is long and athletic. He's very versatile. He's played corner, played nickel, played safety. Very excited about Joe Fouché, one of the transfer guys that we came in because he has a dimension of physicality. Major Burns. Fortunate enough that he was able to come back home. Again, he's long, he's athletic, so he gives you flexibility between both field and boundary safeties. And then you've got some guys that you can throw in like Brooks, Sage, Derek Davis. Todd Harris is a guy that's been around for a while. So I think that we have enough in that room to be successful. But again, you still want to continue to grow and be able to push you.
Yeah, well, I think it starts here, and we have a good bit of people on this particular staff who are from Louisiana, who know and believe in our hearts that this place produces the best football players in the country, and I think the numbers speak for themselves. Per capita, produce the most NFL players, you know what I mean? So even from an analytical standpoint, it makes sense to take the kids from here because the chances of them playing in the league are higher than if they come from anywhere else. I think our brand is super powerful, so we will have to recruit at a national level, or there's really no reason that we shouldn't, you know what I mean? Because if we can get a top player from another state who can help us win a championship, then of course, right? But I think it starts right here in Louisiana and then right here in Baton Rouge. There's some really good players who are still available that are right here in Baton
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date, and finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at JordyCulottaShow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com. All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Remember, always our Monday first hour brought to you by our friends over at Bayou Carlin Oyster Company. Remember, as we reminded you, they ship on Mondays and Wednesdays, so you make sure this week, short week, if you want to get them in before Thanksgiving, you want to get in right now over at BayouCarlinOysterCo.com. If you use the promo code Jordy online, you save yourself 20% from those online orders over at BayouCarlinOysterCo.com. Shucked and buttered oyster kits delivered right to your front door. They do the shucking, you do the grilling over at Bayou Carlin Oyster Company.
That's what you're going to say right after.
Good.
I know. I think that too. It just
What the
seems
shuck?
like a natural thing.
It is, because, well, it's an aphrodisiac.
Every Monday. Yeah, that's right.
Have yourself a good Thanksgiving.
Shucking.
And grilling.
Sucking. The heads.
Suck the head.
Yeah, crawfish season, for God's sake,
Exactly,
boys.
yes.
Get your head out of the gutter, man. You and Katie, raging
Grow
perverts.
up.
And you're worried. And you're worried about the kids.
I know, right?
Where's Santa?
Yeah, right.
I have a fever blister.
Easy over there. Hour 2, we're going to talk to Jake Crain. Crain will be by from Crain and Company. We'll get his thoughts on the football weekend. Outside of LSU, some other stuff that was happening. I know we were talking about Texas A&M and a little bit about Tennessee and South Carolina. Saints won yesterday as the Saints get the win over the Los Angeles Rams. The defending champs were in town. Andy Dalton finished 21 of 25 for 260 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Max contract.
As Dalton yesterday was shining for the Saints, 27-20. Then afterwards, Jameis, I don't know if you heard this, very upset with the way that he's been treated by the Saints and was voicing that displeasure yesterday. It's all over social media. I don't know if we have any other bites to play for you here. But other stops around the football weekend, how about USC and UCLA? USC looks like they control their own destiny now, as they'll be headed to the Pac-12 championship game and playing Utah again.
Utah again, but best uniform game of the year?
Aesthetically the best.
Yes.
Not just the uniforms, but the field, the backdrop. Everybody's going
Grass so
LED
green.
lights. Everybody's got LED lights. Is LSU next, or do they want to stay strong
they will
here?
kill
I want
about
it.
half their
You
fan
want it?
base.
I want it. I love it.
I thought South Carolina looks like a
Yeah.
party. Obviously,
Yeah.
they have gone all in on the party scene. We were out there at the Rose Bowl last year. I told you their entrance into the fourth quarter while playing California Love by Tupac and Dre is still to this day the best in-game experience I have had in a stadium as far as just pure entertainment. And it was done with the lights. It was done with the LED light show.
I mean, give me Swag Surf 2019 against Florida when you chomped them out the building.
Okay. I'm taking LSU experiences out of it.
Oh.
Just because of how many I have there. But I mean, Auburn pregame, UCLA fourth quarter. I thought it was
South Carolina
epic, bro.
Sandstorm.
South Carolina, I've
Alabama,
not been
hello.
there. Alabama sucks.
Well, that's awesome when they do that in their stadium.
The
light
LEDs?
shows?
Yeah.
Yes. Are you
No, I hear it,
kidding?
I hear it.
Could LSU would never, right? We're too.
I don't know, man. A lot
Guard.
of people around.
It would kill half your fan base. I say that,
Why?
but because they're so
No.
old and old.
That's not true.
Like you're gonna give them epilepsy.
No, I think the same. You're dealing with the same age problems on campuses around the league that are doing LED shows. You don't tell me you don't think there's old people in Bryant-Denny?
yeah, there are
I
plenty.
mean, have you seen the amount of gumps walking on
Wearing
canes
a
to get into
jacket
that?
Oh,
all
you're
the
saying
national-
LED?
Yes.
Not LSD. No, I'm kidding.
Like, what?
No, I do think that would be it. Like LSU fans already hate piped-in music, much less a light show.
Yeah, but you know
and
what? Who cares about
Who
those
does?
people?
I'm
the
with
o-
you.
Who
the
hates
only-
piped in music? Tell
Well,
me.
the argument is always
TigerDroppings.com.
Old people.
the argument's always it needs to be traditional. Like it needs to be
Exactly.
fans.
So
that
loud.
and it's just not like it's different. It's
Yeah,
not like that.
it's
It's
not.
2022.
I don't understand why they don't play Louisiana artists in
Right.
Tiger Stadium. I mean, like, go to the Dome on a Sunday.
Chop a style.
I mean, that
they
place
should,
is
you're right.
rocking with nothing but New Orleans artists
Well, 'cause
in
they
there.
have to play Garth Brooks and Louisiana Saturday Night. Who sings that?
Who says they
Alabama?
have
Girth.
to do that? Who says they
Well,
have
they
to do
just-
that?
It's tradition, Jordy. They've
Since
always
when?
done
I'm
it.
telling them, yeah, Jordy.
Since
telling me.
when?
I don't know. You
I
should know
mean-
more than me. How long have they been playing Louisiana Saturday Night in Tiger Stadium?
Do they even play Louisiana Saturday night?
Yes.
Jordy
Stadium?
Culotta.
What? Every time.
No,
Are
like
you
I
kidding?
get, and I have nothing
No, I
against
mean, I know
playing
they
like
play Colin Baton
play it
Rouge.
at the
they
beginning,
play
you know, like in
Louisiana
the
Saturday.
lead up to the game.
Yeah.
But like once football is being played, you don't play country
Absolutely.
music.
No, that's not what the
I
athletes
mean, I
like
want
here.
your music, but
I
you don't
want
play it during the football game.
Boosie, I want Webby,
Right.
I want NBA YoungBoy. I mean, like, play the
Yes.
people that are from the city.
Right.
Right.
I mean, play the people that are
Give me
from
that neck.
Louisiana. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the best part about the Dome, really, is that they embrace New Orleans. And look what happens. I mean, you got Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara dancing on the
Right.
sidelines with one
Exactly.
another. You show it to the stand, you show it to the in-game crowd, and people lose their mind. I mean, they want to blow the roof off the Dome when they play that stuff.
Yeah, they do.
And they're playing well. You know what I mean? Like, it makes so much sense to play that in Tiger Stadium. I mean, play the Louisiana artists in Tiger Stadium.
I
mean,
think
just-
Jake Crain has an opinion on this.
Is
'Cause
Crain
he
here?
And hit the purple light.
Jay, good morning. How are you? Good. It's good to see you on this holiday weekend, holiday week. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
Yes, no, happy Thanksgiving to you guys too. Hope everybody's doing well out there. And yeah, why would you not pump homegrown music into the stadium? I mean, let's be realistic here. I mean, look, I don't care if you just played, Lil Boosie the whole time. I mean, let's
Thank
get
you.
real.
Thank you, Jake. Very easy. I think it's an easy fix. I really do. I mean, I don't get it. You go there on a Saturday night and they're playing everybody but Louisiana artists. Jake, best thing you saw this week. This was a great, sneaky college football weekend. I think there was not a lot of expectation to the weekend, but it came through strong. What was the best thing you saw? Oh no.
Weekend. Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Yep.
I got you now.
Yep. It's the biggest trap weekend in college football. It's the weekend before rivalry week. I mean, you have some teams that, even if there aren't national implications or even conference implications, they're looking ahead. And we saw some, examples of that. And then some teams that do have a lot on the table looking ahead, whether it's North Carolina. I don't think you could call Tennessee looking ahead, even though Vanderbilt, 2 straight SEC wins in a row. Now Clark Lee has a problem. There's going to be expectations at Vanderbilt. They haven't had those around in a while. But, I think the best thing that I saw throughout the weekend, I think it's the fight from TCU and Michigan. You know, TCU had every excuse to lose that game. Darius Davis is out. Johnson gets hurt halfway through the first half. Baylor's playing out of their mind, especially up front. But, you know, watching the field goal team run on there, we used to call that Toro. Looking at that execution, was it the best decision by Sonny Dykes? No, but they found a way to win. And then Michigan, Blake Corum going down, J.J. McCarthy being off his game, finding a way at the end to win the game. I think it tells you a lot about some of the championship DNA. And when you have veterans and experience, if you look at TCU, that is a very senior-laden, experienced veteran team.
From the league standpoint, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss were in Arkansas this weekend and got beat up bad by the Hogs. He was asked about the Auburn job afterwards. What do you think the state of the Auburn job is, and where does Kiffin fit in, if at all?
I mean, I think he's still the primary target. And look, it's
do you think the deal's done, Jake?
Ask your brother.
No, I don't think it's done. Now, I will say this. With coaching searches, a lot of what everybody hears, it's kind of like the military and technology. The civilians get stuff that's 20 years behind. So anything we're hearing right now or tomorrow has already taken place probably at least 3 to 4, maybe even 5 days ago. I think he's the primary target. I think Cohen's interviewed a lot of people. But I don't think anybody really knows. Anybody that tells you that they know for certain are probably going to try and sell you some beachfront property in Iowa or something right after that. So I'm very cautious when it comes to that. But, guys, when it comes to Ole Miss, looking at it now, especially the way Kentucky struggled, was Ole Miss fool's gold this whole time? I mean, look who they've beaten. Name a legitimately good team that Ole Miss has beaten. I mean, it's not Tulsa. Yeah. It's not Central Arkansas.
I mean, Kentucky gave
Georgia
it to
Tech.
them.
It's not Auburn. It's not Texas A&M. It's not Kentucky. I mean, they haven't beaten a team that's won 8 games, I think. So maybe Ole Miss was fool's gold this whole time. Now, that doesn't mean that Lane Kiffin's a bad coach or anything like that. But, you know, I've been getting drilled on the timeline for telling the truth about Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like, sometimes you're a 6 when you think you're an 8.
Yeah, no. Everybody needs a friend that tells them they're not.
Yeah.
Georgia won 16-6 in Lexington this weekend. For the LSU crowd, there's some people here on this Monday morning, kind of me, I'm the one that's saying it. I think Georgia looks beatable from LSU's point of view. Should I sip that sauce, or is this?
Well, look, I mean, it's college football. I mean, anything can really happen, but I think you got to look at the circumstances, right? You played the SEC championship game indoors. That game against Kentucky was basically played in an ice skating arena. I mean, it was pretty cold out there, and Kentucky was just coming off a game where they lost to Vanderbilt. So the embarrassment factor is at an all-time high. You know, Clay Travis kind of talked about it a little bit in Big Noon Kickoff, and we say it on the show all the time. There is nothing more motivating to an 18 to 22-year-old than to be embarrassed in front of all your friends at what you're supposed to be the best at. And Vanderbilt went up to Kentucky, and it wasn't a math tournament. It wasn't a debate club. They beat them on the football field. So I do think LSU has a chance. But I will say, I think this Georgia team is more balanced than the Georgia team last year. I think they can beat you in multiple ways. The Georgia team last year really could beat you in 1 to 2 ways, not as many as what Georgia could. But if Jaden Daniels is able to run and extend the play from outside the pocket as well as inside the pocket, I think LSU has a chance. It's going to come down to, in my opinion, can LSU stop the run? Because that's what Georgia still is predicated off of offensively.
I love to point and laugh at the Aggies just as much as anybody out there, maybe even more. But that graphic, that image that popped up Saturday in the second half versus UMass. Noah, what was our girl's name from the Houston Chronicle that covers Texas A&M? I just want to make sure and give her credit on the picture there. But there is a picture, Jake, that I'm sure you have seen. That
Christy
is
Riken.
Christy Riken's picture from the Houston Chronicle that is surfacing. And I'm bad at this game, Jake. I'm just saying 10,000 people. Is this what could get him run?
Man, I tell you what, I thought it would be impossible for Jimbo Fisher to be fired after this year. But I mean, A&M it's awful. It's awful. It's been bad on the field. It's been bad off the field. I mean, at this point, and I know it's not toward the end of his contract, if I'm Ross Bjork, I'm doing what they did to Scott Frost and Jim Harbaugh. I'm walking in that office saying, I want some of my money back. I want some of it back. You lied to me. Like we thought you were something that you're not. Not that Jimbo can't turn it around. But if you really care, you're going to give us some of that money back because you're not doing your job. UMass is terrible, guys. UMass is terrible. And they were down. They couldn't run the ball on them. I mean, Connor Wegman was having to escape to be able to run the ball on him. Then you got cannons shooting at players, praying in the end zone. I mean, what's going on at A&M? It's as bad as I've ever seen. And you know what? Part of me thinks a little bit of it's karma for y'all making those cringe jokes with those dudes in overalls that nobody understands. Part of me thinks it's the universe saying y'all need to stop this. Y'all need to stop it right now. But, I mean, guys, it's to the point. I mean, y'all are playing in this. Y'all may run for 400 yards. LSU may run for 400 yards this guy. I'm not even kidding. The players have quit. I mean, I don't think the coaches have quit. But at what point do you start looking at Jimbo if you're an assistant coach like, man, I don't believe you. Mm-hmm. But I don't believe you anymore. All this stuff you keep saying, it doesn't keep happening. All that hope, all that angst, all that want to from A&M fans. I mean, I've got A&M fans hit me up saying, I hope we lose to UMass so they'll fire him. That's how bad. And remember, Jimbo Fisher, all right, guy that called out Nick Saban and beat him. I mean, he was going to be the hero, right? He was Nick Fury of the Avengers, going and getting, Iron Man and Captain America and putting them all on the same team. It's just, and I wondered, guys, when you buy players and you buy players, they own you. That's the thing. That's why a lot of guys didn't pay. Like, if you would pay a player before NIL, they own you now. I think they've got too many personalities. I think they went out and recruited all these guys and paid for them, which is legal. I'm not saying they cheated. Went out and paid for them, so they own you. What are you going to tell a kid that you just paid $250,000 to? What are you going to tell him? Right. I just think it's a bad situation right now at A&M. I don't know what the recourse is, but I still find it hard that they'd fire Jimbo. But if it's me and I'm Ross Bjork, I'm J.G. Wentworth in this thing. I want my money back, and I want it now.
What was your biggest takeaway from South Carolina, Tennessee?
Well, if I'm a South Carolina fan, half of me is really happy, and the other half's like, what the hell? Where the hell was this?
Right.
Like what? I mean, again, half should be jubilant, but I know a lot of people are asking, like why did we just play like this now? And look, they just beat Tennessee. But let's be honest. Spencer Rattler looked like what everybody thought Spencer Rattler was going to look like for the whole year. Maybe not that good, but it just shows you the inconsistency. And that's where they're at right now. But it's a huge win for Shane Beamer for this point only, even if they lose to Clemson. That's a win that on the recruiting trail, whether it's a high school kid or whether it's in the transfer portal, you can point to and you can say, look how close we are. Mm-hmm. Look how close we are. I'm interested to see what Spencer Rattler is going to do after the season. That's what I'm interested to see. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to be high on draft boards or anything like that. Will he come back? Does Shane Beamer and them want him back? But a lot of people that were questioning Marcus Satterfield are still questioning Marcus Satterfield because that's only like 2 good games. But with South Carolina, it does show you kind of the hope they have and why Shane Beamer is the right guy at the right time for that job.
What now for Hendon Hooker in Tennessee?
Well, I tell you what, man, you're going to Vandy and you got to start Joe Milton out there who, can throw it 100 yards, but we don't know where it's going, and it's going 300 miles per hour. They're a 15.5-point favorite at Vanderbilt. I really love that spread for Vandy, to be honest. Not that Tennessee can't win, but they're going to have to win in a different way. I mean, Joe Milton, from an operational standpoint, from a running standpoint, is not Hendon Hooker. And Joe Milton will put the ball in harm's way, and he's going to have a week of practice. But practice is you're trying to simulate the game as much as possible, but you can never simulate it. That place is going to be rocking. Vandy's starting to have expectations. So I think it could end up being a hell of a game. But for Hendon Hooker, he's just got to go get healthy. He just got to rest up. Obviously not going to be able to play in the Senior Bowl, but I hope he has a great NFL career because he's a guy that did it the right way on the field and off the field. And I think Tennessee fans, while they're very disappointed this week, need to thank Hendon Hooker for helping bring them back to legitimacy. And you're going to see that pay off 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road.
Yeah, I agree, man. I hate that for that kid. LSU beats UAB, takes care of business. I've said a couple of times this season, these are the games that I thought Brian Kelly was really brought in for. The Arkansas game, the UAB game, the Mississippi State game, the Ole Miss game. LSU is going to show up in those Alabama, Florida State games, those premier spotlight games, LSU's been on a roller coaster ride every year in trying to navigate consistency. I think that's what Brian Kelly brings. Now that they're going into the last playing date of the season, what do you make of him in year one?
The same thing I said at the beginning. He's the guy that cleans up the messes, that holds you accountable, that brings you structure. I mean, just because your room's not a disaster doesn't mean you don't clean it up. He's made it about LSU, not the opponent. See, that's the trick. The trick isn't to make it about UAB versus Alabama and how you prepare. The trick is to prepare like you're going to play for LSU. That's just the truth. I mean, it's about the name on the front of the jersey, not the name you're going against or the name in the back of the jersey. How much better can we get blocking and tackling? How much better can we get from an operational standpoint? How much better can we get from an efficiency standpoint in the red zone and special teams and things like that? So I think what Brian Kelly has done has made it about LSU, not everybody else.
Jake Crain, every morning you can catch him, Crain and Company, on YouTube. Make sure you are searching them there. One more before I get you out of here. Out west, USC, UCLA. What a beautiful game to watch aesthetically with the field, the backdrop, and the unis. What'd you make of the outcome?
Thought it was a hell of a game. I mean, Caleb Williams has to be the Heisman front runner right now. UCLA goes up 14-0. The difference between UCLA and USC was DTR turned it over and Caleb Williams didn't. The difference between Utah and Oregon was Cameron Rising turned the ball over and Bo Nix didn't. When it comes down to these games that are separated by inches, turnovers, field position, and penalties are going to decide it. USC did a great job in those categories. Lincoln Riley's building a monster out there, and if they can keep those guys home, especially the linemen, they're going to be competing for national championships. I don't think this team is national championship quality, but with Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison and Mario Williams and I guess everybody that's good as football that's last name's Williams, they've got something going on out there.
You mentioned USC a little bit. Obviously, we're just talking about it. But where do you think it stands as far as the SEC with LSU now, everything in front of them, obviously, with A&M a dumpster fire, but still a game. And if they beat Georgia, but you have a one-loss, USC still lurking, how do you think the committee decides what to do going forward?
Well, I think you look at the college football playoff rankings, and LSU's 6 right now. Ohio State and Michigan play each other, and if there's going to be an odd man out, it's going to be one of those two because the loss was so late. The question now becomes, I'm telling you guys right now, I don't know if TCU is going to beat Kansas State. Will Howard and Kansas State are freaking out offensively. They've cracked the code. They went Alan Turing at Bletchley Park. I think LSU needs they need one game of help. They need one game of help. If TCU would have lost to Baylor, LSU would legitimately control their own destiny to make the playoff. But, guys, if you beat Georgia as a 2-loss LSU team at this point, A&M and then Georgia, how do they keep you out?
No doubt.
They're not going to keep the SEC champion out, just like they're not going to keep the Big Ten champion out. So I think LSU, in reality, does control their own destiny. Just win. Just win,
baby.
Preach, Crain. Preach, Jake. I feel you, baby. I feel you, man. They ain't going to keep them out. Have a great Thanksgiving, bro. Hair looks fantastic.
Y'all too, yes. It's a beautiful dandelion nettle blend. Shout out to Mr. Cheezle.
Later, brother. Happy Thanksgiving. There he is, Jake Crain. We'll talk to you next Monday. As we will recap there. Katie, tell him about Dead Soxy. I saw Stephen Miller just got his Dead Soxy present in the mail. He tweeted it as.
We're too late for the I hope everybody got in for the 40% discount using the code Jordy, but you can still use the code Jordy and get 25% off just in time for Christmas. Get your corporate gifts, get your purple and gold socks, get them in time for the A&M game, get them in time for the Georgia game. DeadSoxy.com, SOXY.com.
Billy Lucci from College Station, 10 minutes from now. Jordy Culotta Show. Keep moving on from Driven and Powered by Go Chevrolet. Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. I was embarrassed about my smile. Are you unhappy at yours? Do you not smile back at yourself? I called my friend, Dr. Spillers, over at Johnson Spillers. He fixed my smile, and now everywhere I go, people are complimenting it after the work that Dr. Spillers and the staff did to my mouth. They can do it to yours. Get in touch with them. JohnsonSpillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easy to find them, JohnsonSpillers.com. We love the crew over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Chef Shane and his crew dropping off the meals every Monday here to FM Digital Media, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. Me or the crew's going through our meals over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Their weekly pre-order, freshly made meals, or you can walk into the cooler over there on Airline Highway. They have that fresh, same service over there at Fresh Chef Eats. FreshChefEats.com is where you can find them online. Fresh Chef Kitchen. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. Back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live here on this Monday morning. Short week for you, as we've reminded you. We'll be out Thursday and Friday. Iversteins will be here on Wednesday. We're cooking up a little Thanksgiving dish for you here Wednesday. Compliments of Iversteins. Get over and see them. I ate breakfast there again on Sunday.
Did you go back? We went and got the chili out of the freezer
Really?
and made it this weekend.
I was pissed that I didn't get it while I was there.
It was so good.
Burned a lot of firewood this weekend.
Yeah, same.
Snap, crackle, pop.
No, did you go to the game?
I did not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Oh, just me?
Yeah.
Just you.
I will be sick on Tuesday.
I was around the fire watching the game on TV.
But Jody?
Like normal people.
Like normal people.
One thing we did learn on Saturday night from the television crew is that Armani Goodwin is going to miss the remainder of the season. We talked about the running back spot a little earlier in the show on just the production that they're looking to get from that position. Obviously, LSU had Josh Williams on the shelf Saturday night, told by somebody close to the program that if it would have been a more competitive game, that Williams could have gone on Saturday. So if that would have been Texas A&M, or if that would have been Georgia, or if that would have been a bowl game, I think you would have seen Josh Williams go. One of the low spots of Saturday, I thought obviously was John Emery.
I feel bad for him.
And just the lack of being able to hold on to the ball. I agree. I do. I feel bad for him too, in the sense that he's struggling with that. You know, I mean, he's got the majority of the fumbles this year for LSU, especially at the running back spot. He's just had a tough time protecting the ball, and at this level, you know, I mean, we have harped on it, talked about it, and you know, beat it into the ground. That, I mean, you've got to do the little things to play consistently at this level. You've got to pass protect. You got to protect the ball. You got to make plays when you have opportunities. And John Emery does a couple of those things, right? I mean, he's a big playmaker. He's the home run hitter on this team. He's a guy that can, you know, put a foot in the ground and make an Alabama DB whiff and score a huge touchdown. But he's also the guy that's broken down in pass protection and has turned the ball over at times this year. And Josh Williams has turned out to not be that guy, right, where you can depend on him and you can turn and hand him 3rd and 14 and he gets you 16. I mean, he's just a dependable guy that picks up pass protection, knows the importance of protecting the football, and, you know, really takes on his responsibility and does everything that's asked of him. I don't know necessarily if it's, you know, as much on a knock on Emery, which, you know, Emery's got stuff to improve on. He's just got a guy in the room with him that does all the things good, right? Like, it's not, he's just solid, you know. And at this point, I don't think that, you know, when you're trying to find compliments to throw at Josh Williams, I think it's okay now to really refer to him as just he's a really good SEC back. You know, I mean, the walk-on, I didn't know that Jacques brought that up last week, that the family gets a little offended by being, you know, called walk-on, you know, a walk-on, because he had scholarships coming out of Houston area high school to go play at the next level. But look, I hear you, and I don't want to disrespect the Williams family in any sense, but when you talk about Williams' story at LSU, you have to mention that he walked on. But now, I mean, it's kind of like a freshman. You know, like, who thinks of Will Campbell as a freshman? Who thinks of Harold Perkins, Mason Taylor, Emory Jones, hell, even, you know, Tolian as a freshman? I don't, right? I don't think of Josh Williams as a walk-on either. But when you tell those stories, you have to mention that Campbell's a freshman and that Williams at one point was a walk-on. He does not feel like that at this point. I mean, he feels like almost kind of like the secondary actor of the you know, character of the offense. Jaden Daniels being the primary, and I mean, Williams is kind of the, you know, he's kind of that guy that really is the supporting role of the offense.
Well, if you want to take the walk-on as an insult, take the you get to sit out the homecoming game as a compliment. Like, dude, you're too good to play today.
Right.
That's the ultimate, like, hey, Josh, I know you want to go. We don't need you to go today. Like, you're that good. And then we have the BK cut of Noah Cain. We talked about preparation meets opportunity. That's kind of what he was saying for Noah Cain to be able to come on. As if you want to play that, I thought I just saw Lucci. I did not.
Yeah, I was just seeing if we had Luch. Yeah, let's hear that from BK talking about the running backs.
Crowded backfield, you know, and you look at that opportunity. It's just a crowded backfield, you know, and you look at that across, again, college football. There's really good backs that sometimes don't get the carries, but when they get their opportunity, make the best of it, and he did. We've always had faith in him. he's a kid that wanted to come back to Louisiana, and it's great to see him, on this night, last opportunity in Tiger Stadium this year, because he's got another year, have the kind of game that he had.
Good stuff there from Brian Kelly talking about his running back, specifically Noah Cain, who is back in South Louisiana playing for LSU. Daily, we're brought to you by RMB Builders, rmb-builders.com, rmb-builders.com. Brand new post just went up on Instagram from RMB. Check it out over there. They can help you out with anything that you got going on around the holidays. If you're looking for a little reconstruction, a little add-on, or if you are ready to set and build that dream home.
Ready, set, build.
Ready, set, build.
Let R&B Builders
That's
take care of it for you. Katie's got some projects going on at her house
right now as we speak.
rmb-builders.com. rmb-builders.com. Hit them on Instagram. They got great stuff on their social media right now that you can find out, whether it's neighborhoods, projects, or things that they got going on. Check them out, rmb-builders.com. Billy Lucci talking on the Ags next here. Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Noah Cain, just like Novocaine. Give it time, it always works.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
We're sitting in the dugout.
So funny you say that.
And Pelfrey is not pitching today, but he had he's in full uni, he's turfs, and he's standing up on the fence, whatever, just like this, watching the game, and we start talking about, pissing your pants, something whatever. And he was like, "I'll piss my pants right now."
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, "I'll piss my pants right now." No, you won't. Yeah, how much money do you give me? So we gathered up however many people were in there. I think it ended up being $2,000 total.
I pissed my pants for $2,000.
What's
up?
100%.
So
how are y'all?
And he's watching the game, and he just starts pissing.
Okay, perfect. I'll be right back.
So you see it going down his pants. It's long pants going into his turfs. And he's just going into his turfs. He takes his turfs out and dumps out the pee outside on the warning track, on the dugout. And he just puts them back on, and he finishes the inning. He waits till the inning is over with to leave. And so he's watching the whole inning with piss in his pants. And everybody is dying laughing. Manager's laughing. Everybody's laughing. He gets up out of it and walks to the dugout, pee all in his pants, in the gray pants. It was awesome.
I remember telling them, hey, listen, my job here is to make sure that we bring, big time football to a small town environment, right? And so you see on movies sometimes about the way a town reacts to the football program and what it means to everybody, and that was the hopes and dreams that I had for the place. And so our kids take a distinct responsibility in wearing that Z on their helmet. It means a lot to them. And then on the flip side of that, our community does a tremendous job of supporting our program, supporting the athletic department, supporting our school as a whole. And there's really a great relationship there that's a lot of fun to be a part of.
Thank you for the access, man. Looking forward to tonight. We'll talk soon.
Coach, wait, before you go, fix your hair again one more time.
Look at him.
Let's go.
Yes. Look at him.
What do you think about that?
Game day,
what do you
baby.
think about that?
Game day. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it, man. Great to see you. Thank you.
You too, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
All right, man. There he is. There he is. My guy. David Brewerton checking in. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live here on this Monday morning. Happy holiday week to you. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Most of you planning on taking off to College Station this weekend, as LSU will be in College Station to take on the Aggies here. Of course, it is the final playing date of the regular season, which means that Texas A&M and LSU will be linking up, which means we always talk to our favorite, Billy Lucci, who is the executive editor and co-owner of the monster, TexAgs.com over in College Station. Make sure and give them a follow on Twitter and hit him up at Billy Lucci. Luch, good morning. How are you, buddy?
Jordy, what's up, brother?
Great to see you. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving.
Billy, so, you know, our fan bases, you and I, we like to kind of poke and prod back at each other, LSU, Texas A&M, all for the rivalry and all about kind of getting towards this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
That image that popped up on Saturday of the second half and, you know, the lack of people that are in the stadium, is that a clear illustration of what the state of the program is right now?
I think it's two things. I think it certainly has to do with that. But I also think it's Twitter, and it's a bunch of, you know, pardon my French, dumbass losers just that want clicks on Twitter. Let me post this crowd. It's 35 degrees. I mean, look, I saw the LSU crowd in the third quarter of that game.
No doubt.
And it wasn't like that, but it was, you know, 2 times that. You know, it was just
Sure.
And we know what the state of excitement is in Baton Rouge right now. Now, I will say this. It was, to me, it passed a point of extreme to where you go, okay, yeah, if A&M was 8-2, 7-3 going in that game, it wouldn't have been like that. But I do know it was a 1-9 UMass. It was a 3-7 A&M. I know a lot of people that weren't going to go because it was 38, 40 degrees and raining and windy the whole time. And I also know a lot of people that went that never emerged from their suites or the club level. So. Yeah. Yes and no. I absolutely think those images have to do with the season A&M's had so far. You'd be nuts to deny that excitement and optimism are at I don't know what year I'd say, because I've seen a couple 4-8s.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of mediocrity. I haven't seen many years this bad though. I don't think I've seen one year this bad. When you combine, Jordy, the expectations and the hope with what we're actually seeing on the field, this has been as bad as I've seen. You know, like, and they lose close games. They implode in the second half against Florida and Mississippi State. They'll lose a bunch of close games where you go, man, it didn't even feel close because they just made so many mistakes and shot themselves in the foot so many times. Then you have suspensions, and then it's compounded by injuries. It's one of those years, but it's one of those years that happen to bad football teams.
Do you have a mile marker? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have a mile marker? Do you have a point where you said that's where it kind of pivoted? That's where it lost. That's where it kind of fell off.
Well, I mean, to me, you have to go back to App State, because even though they came back and they beat Miami and they beat Arkansas, you could watch that game and know Miami wasn't good. Mm-hmm. And you could watch that Arkansas game and know that, Arkansas, some really self-inflicted mistakes, and they missed that field goal off the upright. But it's the SEC. You win a close game, but it just never felt like they had turned the corner to be a really good team. And App State, every red flag that has haunted them the rest of the year, minus, say, the compounding injuries. Outside of that, I'd say everything that's been an Achilles heel of this team, you saw that day. And the other one, you had a chance to save the season, Jordy, without question, there in Tuscaloosa.
Yep.
And you had one play from the 2-yard line, and it wasn't even close. You could have beaten Bama, been 2-1 in the SEC, going into a bye, going into South Carolina. So those would probably be the 2 points, I would say, where it's just like, man, this thing's just spun off the rails. It's got no chance.
Realistically, could they move on him?
No. No. And anybody that tells you that, they don't know what's going on at A&M. Who knows? Maybe if they'd lost to UMass and then LSU Saturday, they go, that all right, we've just got to do it. But I've talked to enough people, not enough, virtually every person that really matters at length. And these are people I don't just call when, you know how it works. They're not people you call to talk to when things are bad. And there's years of trust and, respect, mutual respect built into these relationships and friendships. And no, that's not in the cards. And it's really the opposite. It's like, what all do we have to do to help? Because Jimbo's going to be here. So what do we need to do to fix this? What on our end, meaning the donors end, the athletic department, Ross Bjork, what do we need to do to get this thing back on track and get you over the hump? And that's where it's at. And look, if it wasn't for the contract in year 5 to be where they're at, I think you have a coaching change. I don't think there's any question about that. But that's not reality. That's not where they're at right now. So it goes on, and you expect, and he's not being forced, because I think he's kind of behind the scenes saying all the right things. You expect the action to be more significant than the words. When you hear him at these press conferences, sounds like a guy that thinks the offense is that close, and it's just a matter of, it's execution, or they're one play away, or they're close. You hope that the actions don't match up with those words. If they do, then I think there'll be some really disappointed people in College Station. If the actions exceed what he's saying, which is what I expect, you'll see pretty significant changes on that side of the ball, maybe as early as the Sunday or Monday after this weekend's game.
How much have people like me overblown the NIL at Texas A&M, and what's the real relationship between the collective and the program?
Explain that real relationship part of it.
How does it work? How does it work? Is there some type of mechanism in place that has a relationship between both, that they help each other out?
You mean the collective?
Yeah.
Isn't that what every
Sure.
collective does?
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
but I think y'all are the model, right? Y'all are the model.
Yeah. I think it's overblown, Jordy, from the standpoint of what y'all think the amount of money was. And I think if that number, when it came out, screwed up every talking point. And to me, and I said this then, this is not, hey, they're 4-8, they're down now. By the way, I just said 4-8. So congratulations on the win. I think it'll be a competitive game. It's interesting. It depends to me with A&M who plays. First of all, if Devon A-Chain doesn't play, it's a rough going in that running game. Although I really like Moss. But the NIL thing is this: it was so much less like it was blown up. It was 10% of what people said it was. Maybe $30 million was such an insane number that, how everyone's making the jokes about the portal and these guys are going to be in there in another week or so. If they all made $1 million, I can assure you they would not be going into the portal in a week. Probably not a one of them. Now, that number was so insane that I think it screwed a lot up for college football, because you had these wild-ass donors, and I've had college coaches ask me about it. I've had administrators at other schools, and, in passing, people mention it. It became such gospel that the problem is, I think other programs, power programs, looked at that, and I even had some people, on the inside of LSU ask me about it, like, what's going on? Because I've never seen a myth become that much reality because of social media and because people wanted to believe it, because it didn't make sense. And we could go on and on about how that class came together. We could do a whole show on it. But 30 million was insane. Now everyone's trying to reach these gaudy numbers, and these mega donors at other schools are saying, well, if they're doing it, we have to do it. And that's what Nick Saban was doing this summer, to try to scare those Bama donors into saying, hey, we can't keep up with A&M. It was so much less than that, and now the bar has been set at such an insane level. So now people sitting here going, oh, I wonder if they're going to go poach A&M guys. My answer would be, how are you going to poach them if they're all making $1 million plus? Because they're not. And they are a 4-7 program right now. It has been a mess. So there's no question that A&M's got a massive target on the back there. But the NIL thing, I just laugh a little bit because I think A&M and the collective, the one thing people say that is accurate, they were more organized before others were.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing that during that off season of like NIL's, or even going dating back further, NIL's coming. All this is going to be this legal, it's going to change the entire game. And I do think that behind the scenes, this donor network got ready for it. And by the way, it's not like the entire donor network. It's still A&M hasn't even scratched the surface of that. I think as far as those mega donors go, the guys with buildings named after them and stuff, I think you're just now about to see some of them start giving, because A&M's not here. They're here. Whereas last year, everyone came up with this wild number. So I think to some degree, A&M's getting caught back up to speed on that. And so it'll be an interesting few weeks on that front, because everybody that complained, my one biggest gripe, Jordy, is how does Arch Manning go to Texas coming off 5-7 and nobody in the national media has a problem with it? They all celebrate it and kiss the Manning ring, kiss Sarkisian's great and Austin and Texas. Could have gone anywhere. He went to a 5-7 program. Well, he's got money. He doesn't need NIL. Okay, then what about the other high-profile guys that went to a school after 5-7? No one brings it up. Or what about, I hear you guys saying, LSU will go get these guys in the portal. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not expecting 30 players from that class to stick at A&M. I think people might be surprised by how many of them do stay, but I think you'd also be a fool to think that you're not going to see some attrition out of it. And but my thing would be, how's LSU going to get some of those guys over? Let's pick other teams that are winning at a high level: Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State. They're going to get them via what they're selling as a program and NIL. Yeah. That's the world we live in now. It's crazy. I wish it was a little more regulated, but it's not. It's just not. And it is the Wild West and then some. And I think it's only going to get worse.
What do you expect this weekend?
Man, it's funny because I watch LSU most weeks. And when I can't, I see the highlights and stuff. And I've got friendships over there. And not only with you guys, but Woodward and even Brian Polian, going back to the day I always root for him. So I watch closely, and I'm really impressed what their trajectory's been all year, and I know you guys probably didn't even have in your wildest dreams to think this was going on in year one. He's done an amazing job. I like watching them because I respect the style of play. And they remind me, and LSU fans aren't going to want to hear this, they remind me of A&M in 2020 to a degree, where you watch them and you go, they're beatable. It's not, they don't just blow you away watching them. I mean, they did in that, down the stretch against Mississippi State and Ole Miss, obviously, but you watch them and you go, they're not world beaters, but then you look up and you go, they haven't lost, outside Tennessee. They haven't lost in a while. And they just know how to win football games. And they do it by being tough and by being physical, by winning the line of scrimmage. And they've got a quarterback that can make plays. I think they're winning kind of almost like an old school SEC kind of way. And it speaks volumes that Kelly has been able to hold it together. A&M's been the exact opposite this year. Even when they play well, they find a way to lose. So I could see it being close and competitive. But if LSU gets up, I'm not saying the Aggies wouldn't quit, but just the way A&M's built right now, they can't fall behind. They can't fall behind by more than a score. I see LSU winning around that spread. I mean, I think A&M. It's not a rivalry. I don't believe, but it's a rivalry. The players want to compete. Now I've seen I've seen recently, since Jimbo's been there, what's there been one game that wasn't competitive?
Right.
I mean, the other ones have been pretty ultra competitive. The the 2 A&M won here at Kyle Field, and the 2 outside of the Joe Burrow game. Those 4 of the last 5, I think, have been really competitive. So I expect that. LSU's just a better football team right now, and more than anything else, Jordy. More than anything else, they're just better at the line of scrimmage. And when does that lose in the SEC?
Right.
That stood the test of time. They're better on the O-line by light years, and they're better on the defensive front. That's hard to overcome, especially with a true freshman quarterback. Connor Wigman is going to be special. I'm convinced he's going to be a special quarterback. If he doesn't have time to throw the whole game, and if they can't get a running game going to take some pressure off of him, it just doesn't work.
Luke, did you see Harold Perkins play in high school? And if you did, what was your experiences about him? And when did you?
Don't put salt in the wound. The man is down.
Well, I mean, he's from Texas. I mean, I figured he saw him play. And I mean, his high school highlights had to be dumb because Kelly told the TV crew he'd be the best tailback on LSU if they'd have played him at running back.
Well, see, that's what I think A&M thought too, and they were like, and I think at some point, Perk was mentioning wanting to do that, and I think the response was whatever, like you can do, but like he's that good, kind of like, and I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. 40 for y'all.
Harold Perkins.
No,
Devin White. Yeah,
Devin White, who I saw running down the field at Kyle Field last game he played here. But
that's right.
Yeah, kind of like a Devin White, what he was doing at running back. But Perkins, I think, is a better running back. I mean, he really could 1,000% play tailback at a place like A&M or LSU and start. I mean, he's that good. You guys see how fast he is. But he reminds me, I tweeted it the other day, he's like junior year Von Miller.
Yeah. I saw you tweet that, yeah.
Like I watch him in that 40, and I watch the way he can dip that shoulder and bend the edge like that, and then just the way he uses his hands. LSU's, they've coached him up, but that's not coaching yet, not this quickly. I mean, that's natural. And when I watched him in high school, I said he was the best linebacker I'd seen the state of Texas produce because they don't produce a ton of them.
Right.
Okay, they really don't. Best linebacker I'd seen the state of Texas produce since Derek Johnson.
Wow.
And you guys remember him, went to Texas from Waco. Perk, he was a ridiculous player, and it's ironic that he ended up going, and I know there were family ties there, but that decommitment, and I don't know, maybe it's the one NIL thing that A&M didn't win in that class. I don't care how he got there, NIL, family, whatever. It's the guy they lost that they had ended up being – I don't know if he's the best defensive player in college football. I think I was talking to Andy Staples about this a couple weeks ago. I said he's the most valuable non-quarterback in college football. If you did an MVP, it's far too easy to say, well, look at what would Bama be without Bryce Young, right? But if you said non-quarterbacks, who's the most valuable player in college football? I think it's Harold Perkins, and which is wild to say. And it's the one that got away for A&M, right? Cypress is 50 minutes from College Station. He ends up in Baton Rouge. He's incredible. And the one thing that's lost on a lot of people during this season with this A&M class, some of these dudes are really, really good. They're just freshmen. And right now it's a team full of them. But this class for A&M looks like, yeah, it's certainly going to live up to the hype. Now, the biggest question is kind of what we talked about earlier. How much do you keep it together? How much do you keep it sustained? Because there's a core group of about, I'd say 20 of them that if A&M can keep, 16 or so of that 20, and in particular Wigman and Evan Stewart, I think that thing's going to be ridiculously good. But the one spot where there's a hole in this roster, even in the youth, it is coach is a problem right now. Linebacker and Jimbo. Look, that's a good joke, but it's also there's truth to it. Jimbo's got to refine himself, and people can.
Sorry, no. I want to see this man. I want to see this monster, bro.
Yeah, he's going nuts. He's a golden retriever, far from a monster. But
Okay.
makes a lot of
Kind of
noise.
sounds like Uga.
Yeah, he's somewhere between Uga and Reveille on the top of the scale. No, Jimbo does have to. He has to go back and say, what was it? And I know the next joke is Jameis Winston. When I say what was it that made him so successful, but the reality is people don't want to say it, see it. But Florida State was very successful for a couple of years before Jameis and very successful for a couple of years after. That was more like a 5 or 6 year run, not a 1 year run. And then even at A&M, in year 3, he took them, and I know the next one is COVID. The next one is he took them to 9-1 in a top 5 finish, and things were trending up. And he got on that podium and said, "We ain't done yet." After that Orange Bowl, and since then they've been there at 11-11 right now, guys. Damn. So he's got to get back and say, what was it that made us, that and part of it is they were just way better on offense. I mean, they haven't been great on offense since he's been at A&M, but the successful teams he's had have been really good on offense, and I don't think the same formula will work anymore.
Billy Lucci.
It's kind of like Ed O. It is a lot, minus the background where Jimbo could lean on a background of success, and I think in a way that hurts him because it makes it kind of there's a stubbornness there that you guys know all about.
I'll be the dumbest man alive, believe.
That's right.
Hey, listen, y'all keep talking that shit. You should, because God, I mean, if you guys were 4-8,
oh God,
I'd be having a blast. I'd be having a blast right now. It's been miserable.
I know.
But the irony here is, and it's not lost on me, what A&M did because of Scott Woodward's interest. And if I thought Woodward was that much of an evil genius, I'd give him credit. I think Scott's a brilliant dude, but I don't think his interest in Jimbo had to do with, hey, let's get A&M to overpay.
He wanted him. He wanted him, Luch.
Yeah.
He wanted him.
Yeah, and I get why, but I also this is how it's worked. And this is, you could call it football, the football gods or whatever. But at the end of the day, this is what it is for A&M, and they're in this contract with Jimbo, and he's got to pull out of it. And it was that some of these quotes, man, it reminds me of Sam Ellinger, we're back. We ain't done yet, and I got to be the dumbest person alive, and all these things, the stuff this summer.
Yeah. You
guys like that.
Sure.
As LSU fans, you like a coach a hard-o and a guy that's going to get up there and be like, this is my place. That's our guy. Listen to him defending our school. Listen to him, in Louisiana and Texas are the same. Listen to him defending our state if it's, a Louisiana guy. And I liked it, but you got to back it up. You got to back it up, or people like me have to sit here and listen to that. It's like,
a lot of people paid a lot of money to watch
fucking
y'all play.
Culotta. I see his.
What did I say the other day, Culotta? I said you sound like I forget. But like you guys, like y'all are gonna come here. We're gonna hang out this weekend, and I'm gonna have to hear it. And it's gonna be a great time. But I'd much rather it be the alternative, and I damn sure don't want to sit here and look ahead and go,
wait till next year.
Well, not even wait till next year. I'll be okay in game 11. Wait until next year. Now, I've been waiting until next year for a few weeks, if I'm gonna be honest with you.
Sure.
But I want to be able to say wait till next year. I want to be able to say they got this guy and that guy. But with this offense as it stood today, I would have zero excitement. My level of excitement would look like what we started talking about, that crowd. And I think that's where the A&M fan base would be. There's got to be some kind of message sent that, hey, we're going to get up to speed and play 2023 offense next year.
You tried to kill 2 people on UMass.
Do what?
You tried to kill 2 people on UMass with the cannon.
Billy, what happened there?
What's going on?
I guess today we're not supposed to laugh at that because Twitter tells you,
Sure.
I saw these Longhorns going, that's dangerous. I was in combat and that'll kill somebody. It's like, dude, you know how many people I've been like walking. This might happen this weekend, Jordy. We might be walking by. I've been walking by that damn cannon.
Here comes Lucci. Here comes Lucci. Here comes Lucci. Here comes Lucci. Fill it up. Fill it up.
Burrow jersey.
That thing will go off, and you could be 100 feet away, and it scares the crap out of you. And I guess they told those guys, "Hey, the cannon's about to go off," and they said, "You know what? We don't care."
Prove it.
And then prove it. And they said, "Okay, we will." There's just a lot of ridiculousness on both sides of that one, where I'm like, how did we get to that point? I thought the best thing I saw out of that was my man Pate. Josh said he quote tweets it and goes, "Home field advantage is a real thing."
The 12th man.
We will literally explode a cannon on grass to win.
It just means more in the SEC.
The Minutemen were sent packing with a 20-3 ass kicking.
Remember the 5th of November.
10-3.
Billy Lucci.
That game was 10-3 at the half.
Our favorite, man. It's great to see you. It's great to talk to you. We will catch up soon. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. Y'all let me know if you're coming through.
Sure.
We'll try to keep you away from the cannon.
I will, man. I'll see you. There he is. There he is. There's Luch.
I'm glad to give you the platform.
That was therapeutic.
That was
Jordy, you were a really good therapist.
That was therapeutic.
You did your uh-huhs and your I understand. You were empathetic.
I've done many therapy sessions. I have held the pillow. That felt like Billy Luch. Like it's my turn.
It's the bat phone, baby.
I'm Jordy.
I gotta take this.
I'm Jordy. I'm here representing LSU.
Why was there a heart monitor beeping in the background the entire time?
That was the A&M program was on life support.
Well, I mean, that's what it sounded like, right? I was like, somebody's in that living room on hospice right now.
That was A&M's life support. They're on life support.
And one more thing.
He really does get
And another thing.
Mr. Lucci.
Oh my gosh, poor guy.
I felt bad for him.
I did too.
That's a bad place to be. I've been there. Les Miles. That is Les Miles' LSU program. You could see it in Lucci's eyes. I think he just said, we got to get this right. They're not going to pay him. We got to get this right.
I mean, I'm not giving up, but I'm giving up.
Right. Honestly, I've been on to next year for the last couple of weeks.
For the last year.
And it's just.
We're just freshmen. And it does, if there's any point of concern to actually make this real,
I know
that could be LSU in 5 years because you have Ryan Kelly tied to a 10-year deal.
Yeah. I mean, any year. I mean, that's the gamble you take with these
massive contracts. I
mean, you could be in year 5 and still feel like you're.
Poor Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard y'all the other day. A&M's going to get rated, and they might, but all right. I'm sorry, Billy. Come on, my bad. I guess we don't have to take Matthews and Harris.
And then you with the Harold Perkins thing. Right? But have you seen?
Did you watch Perkins in high school?
Have you seen how good he is, Billy?
Remember when he was committed to y'all? And he's like, yeah, he'd make a big difference. He'd be playing running back, quarterback, linebacker.
Yeah, he told him whatever you want.
The one position we need is linebacker.
Is Harold Perkins. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Billy, man, God, it's good to talk to the Luch, buddy. I mean, but look, if you want,
shout out Mr.
if you want the frontline stuff from A&M, bro, it's Lucci's house over there, man. He runs Texags. And
that was like a letter from the American Revolution. Like, we are not doing great.
That was a release. Right
if y'all
there.
have anybody that can help, it would be awesome.
Thank you for being here on this Monday. Shout out to Billy Lucci. Shout out to our crew, Jake Crain. Tomorrow we will have Jaquaylin Roy and Greg Brooks in studio, where this Wednesday we're eating compliments of our friends over at Iverstein's, getting ready for the holiday week ahead. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button. If you are not a subscriber here to the Jordy Culotta Show, make sure and subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and make sure and keep up with the alerts by just hitting that bell right next to the subscribe button after you get hit the subscription. We appreciate you being here.
LSU can't lose to A&M.
Oh God,
no.
Because we have to have Billy on Monday,
absolutely,
Saturday,
and just sit here and listen to him.
God,
victory
that whole
lap.
45 minutes we just had will be.
That was good for him.
And one more thing.
He needed it.
One more thing.
One more thing. If y'all are still listening, what do you think the spread is?
Spread LSU Texas A&M Tigers -11, 12.
9.5.
Okay.
You can. That's a good old tease if you want it. Get it under 6.5. Okay. Just saying. Billy, tell me what to do.
And one more thing.
And one more thing, doctor. Okay.
Sounds like he's not going anywhere, though.
Billy?
Jimbo.
Oh.
No, Billy ain't going
He's not going
Well,
anywhere.
we heard Jimbo. He was in the room. That was the heart monitor beeping. He's dying. He's under good watch.
I mean, did no one else notice that? It was all I heard.
I thought it was on our end. I was like, oh no, that's a
No.
dog and maybe a doctor.
God.
What is more like if you're an A&M fan watching LSU succeed? Sounds like the Texas stuff gets to him too.
Yeah. They came out of nowhere.
I mean, like that was out of nowhere.
Oh my God.
I thought for sure he was going to use an LSU example. He's like,
Manning
and
came
nobody's
up.
talking about Arch.
I was like, wait, what? Did I
Like,
miss
whoa,
something?
whoa, what happened?
I mean, I just was looking at my email, but what did I miss?
Wait.
How did we
And
get on
another
that?
thing, Mr. Cosby.
Wait, huh?
And Arch Manning. It's like, whoa, okay, Billy.
Nobody mentions anything about
You
that.
didn't need the money.
Yeah, right.
We tried to pay him. Shit.
You don't even need the money.
Told Harold he could run the team. He didn't want to come here. Tried to kill 2 people on UMass. That is an all-timer.
He's going through it, man.
Yeah, we
Going
saw
through it.
Yeah.
all of the
No,
steps.
and look, I
Been there.
can
Yeah.
see it. Oh man, that is a
It's a
dark
bad
place.
feeling.
That's 2014 LSU football fan right there. Just
you don't like
look
Anthony
at this
Jennings?
roster. Look at this. It's just losing. You can't win, but I mean, it's just not that bad.
Sam Ellinger.
Sam Ellinger.
Yeah. We're back.
Then Arch didn't want to come here. I'm sorry.
A&M wasn't even on
Vaughn
the-
Miller. Just he went. How's Miles Garrett doing?
Golly, watching Harold Perkins play
It has to be.
as an A&M fan
Oh,
has to be
heartbreaking.
gut wrenching.
Well, think about
Who's the player
Caskey
that
having
you've
to break
watched?
down all his plays sitting in here.
No, I
every
know,
week.
but I mean, just I haven't even thought of it because he was a commit to A&M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing like you just forget about.
Yeah.
You put the hat
I mean,
on.
you get all these guys, you get everybody in America, and the only one you don't get's the one you want.
Yeah. The best
I
player in
mean,
the
like the
country.
best player in the country,
He said it.
and he's from 45 minutes down the road.
Well, technically, it's from
I mean, that-
Louisiana. Yeah, sure, we'll take it.
Everybody's from Louisiana.
I'm trying to think if there's been a Harold Perkins for LSU.
Like
I
a
guess it
flip.
would be Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one. I actually saw
I mean,
he.
Devin. Who's the guy? Devin Moses.
Dylan
Dylan
Moses.
Dylan Moses. Yeah, sorry. Now I'm thinking
Devin,
Keelan
Dylan.
because
Keelan.
Denzel.
my eyes have
Denzel.
shifted to the younger
Younger
sister.
Moses' sophomore year was his best year.
Yeah.
Is that the year that he
Yeah.
targeted Jamar Chase
I think so. Yeah.
in Tiger Stadium? He played a hell of a game that night,
Yeah.
but I mean, by the letter of the law,
He
I mean, he
decapitated
nearly
the man.
nearly killed him.
And who was the safety that obviously the
Landon Collins.
yeah
Landon
that would
But
be
he
just
was
because
never
so-
coming
Yeah,
to
no.
LSU.
right,
Like he told
but just the
he
show
told
of
them
it.
like on the first day of recruiting, like we can do this.
We need to tell his mother
He
because
did-
she did not know.
She did.
The
she was
day
not happy.
before, the 2 or 3 days before the actual signing day. This is after the Under Armour game. They bring Landon Collins up to LSU, spend the entire day with Landon Collins, tell him like just red carpet.
What do you want to do?
Just
Yeah.
Frank Wilson, Patrick Peterson, anybody who means anything to LSU.
Badger.
Anything. Like, we got to get this guy. At the end of the day, Landon Collins tells Les Miles and Frank Wilson, appreciate you getting me out of school today.
Oh.
Like,
That's where A&M is right now.
the only reason I was here is because it was an excused absence.
Thank you. Can I
Yeah,
do it
I
again?
mean, like,
A&M
just-
had the guy come in and was like, "I didn't see any trophies.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't see
I
anything
don't see
here.
anything." But yeah, I don't know who. I guess
Cam
Surtain.
Robinson?
Yeah.
Surtain was an LSU commit, though.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
thing
that
about
was-
Surtain. And if you think about Surtain, I love Christian Fulton. I'm a huge Christian Fulton
Yeah.
fan. But if you think about 2019 and think Surtain, Stingley as your corners,
Well, then you think 2020.
right.
Ricks, Surtain, Stingley.
Well, Surtain would have been gone after
No.
He'd have been a sophomore.
Sophomore. That's
He'd have
what
been
I'm
a
saying.
sophomore.
He was the next one up.
Wow.
And it happened at like the stroke of midnight when you're like, wait, he could have been to LSU for almost an entire year. And then clock strikes 12 and he's in Alabama.
Oh, Saban just went Saban.
Yeah.
I think they brought him on the official on the day of the national championship parade, and they got Saban in the car, in the convertible, waving in Tuscaloosa, and Surtain sitting next to him.
Jackie O.
I mean, I think LSU was like, fuck, this is over.
But
this is done.
That's why I feel like we could almost empathize with Billy a little bit because we've been where he is.
Right.
In terms of like following a program, and he's just like, I don't know where you kind of go from here, but I'm going to keep watching.
Right. I mean, I have to
keep watching this train wreck. Sorry, Billy.
Never anybody to Perkins' standard. I couldn't imagine watching somebody like Perkins that was committed to LSU and then like turning on the TV and watching him do that at A&M or Bama.
Oh, wait until what happens this weekend if he has one of those Arkansas games
Oh my God.
where you're like, he's supposed to be in the maroon and the white.
I would leave.
I think, well, they're not even going.
I think they show up this weekend.
Oh, it's going to be a
No,
I agree, it'll be festive.
It'll be, right.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm a little
It's
nervous.
gonna be a ball game.
Just because if they're going to get up for any game, it's going to be this one. Like, you have one more time. Like, come on, boys. Rally the troops one time. I know we've shit the bed all year, but this could kind of what LSU did to A&M last year.
Well, I think it's like what Billy said. It depends on who plays.
Yeah.
Well, that's another problem in itself.
For them.
Yeah, no.
For them.
That's a hell of a roster that ain't on the field.
No doubt. Damn, they're going to look good in purple and gold next year. Appreciate you being out there. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. Make sure and subscribe to us if you have not subscribed to the page. Thank you for being a part of it. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning. Don't forget, mic'd up this afternoon, 6 o'clock. Make sure and subscribe and be tuned in. As Jordy Culotta Show rolling on, compliments of Go Chevrolet.